Good morning and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. In today's video, we're going to be doing a range test with the NIU KQi 300X electric scooter. Now, NIU does claim that this scooter will get upwards of 37.3 miles on a single charge, which is a very oddly specific number, but we will absolutely be putting that to the test today. Now, if you are curious, I do weigh with gear 204 pounds this morning. So, range is heavily dependent on rider weight, other rider conditions, and so if you weigh less than me, all else equal, you'll get more range. If you weigh more than me, all else equal, you'll get less range. Now, I am riding this scooter in dynamic mode today, which basically means that I have these settings customized. So I've got the max speed set to 20 miles an hour, and I've got the acceleration set to standard in the app. So that's more or less going to bring it in line with the other tests that I did with the Apollo Go and the Segway Ninebot Max G2. So we'll see how this scooter compares to those two today. So we are riding the Powerline Trail here today in Gilbert, Arizona, which basically follows these power lines and the canals for miles upon miles. So we'll have plenty of space to do our range test this morning. Now, with all of these tests this time of year, I try and get out as early as possible because it is hot here in Arizona. So it's supposed to be 110 degrees today, 112 degrees tomorrow, which is the day we're going to do the hill climb test if everything goes well here today. And so, anyways, I got to get a bright and early start. Unfortunately, I snoozed my alarm. We're about an hour late today, so we'll see how far we go. Definitely brought lots of water for today's trip. Now, I will be checking in with you every 2 to 3 miles, let you know where we're at distance-wise. I am tracking this ride today with a Garmin GPS, so that'll give us the most accurate read on the distance that we traveled today, and I use the same GPS for tracking the rides in the Ninebot Max G2 as well as the Apollo Go. Now, we are currently at the 2-mile mark, and we've been riding for about 9 minutes at this point. And we've still got 5 out of 5 battery bars remaining on the screen. So today's ride is going to be a combination of riding on pavement and some gravel and hard-packed dirt surfaces. So anyways, that'll of course have an impact on the range that we get today. But this is the route that we typically take with the other scooters. So this scooter does have a 48-volt system. It's got a 13 amp-hour battery with 608 watt-hours of capacity. So we'll definitely see how far this battery is able to get us today on this ride. Another thing to mention is that this scooter does have a front suspension. And NIU did put in a hydraulic suspension up front, which I'll tell you right now does a very good job at absorbing impact. Now, this scooter does have 10.5-inch pneumatic self-healing tubeless tires. So self-healing tires are really important because changing tires on a scooter actually really sucks. You wouldn't think it would, but it's actually a pain in the butt. And for all of you keeping track today, we are officially at 4 miles. We've been riding for about 19 minutes at this point, and we've still got 5 out of 5 bars remaining. Now, this scooter does not have a rear suspension, and so it's not going to be as comfortable as a full suspension scooter would be. But I'll tell you right now, I have no complaints. Now, if all goes well with this ride today, we will be taking this scooter to South Mountain Regional Park tomorrow to see how this does on 9.5 miles of almost continuous incline. It's going to be about 1,820 feet in elevation gain. So that'll be a great test of the hill climb ability of this scooter. It's 48-volt system and that 37 Newton meters of torque that it comes with. All right, so we are officially at 6 miles on this ride. We've been riding for about 30 minutes now, and we've officially got 5 out of 5 bars remaining on the screen. So making good distance so far. All right, looks like they've got the little water fountain on here. Very appropriate for these 110-degree days. This is a pedestrian bridge up ahead. Good little test of the hill climb ability of this scooter. Give us an opportunity to see how well this 37 Newton meters of torque pays out for us. So here we go. All right, so far so good. Looks like we're able to maintain about 14 miles an hour or so, at least on the display. So yeah, no issues at all whatsoever. Now, way out there on the horizon is South Mountain Regional Park, which we'll be going to. It's about 40 miles from where I'm at here today. And anyways, that should be us tomorrow morning, same time. But anyways, yeah, this scooter does a great job. I hear the regen brake kicking in, putting power back into the battery. I didn't actually have to use my brakes on the downside there. Weak regen does a good job of it, of maintaining my speed down an incline. So now this scooter does have front and rear disc brakes, which obviously give you much more stopping power than drum brakes. The difference here is that there's going to be a little more maintenance involved. So for those of you keeping track, we are officially at 7 miles. We're at 34 minutes elapsed on this ride so far. And look at that, we are at 4 out of 5 bars. Now, I'll be paying particularly close attention to the battery life as well as the distance that we're going, because obviously every mile we go out is a mile I've got to backtrack to get back to our starting point. All right, looks like we got perfect timing here on the light. We've got crosswalk. Good to go. Let's see here. All right, good timing there. Now, as I mentioned just a little bit ago, NIU does state that this scooter will get upwards of 37.3 miles on a single charge. Keep in mind that is a hypothetical range, you know, and then all those range estimates are based on very set criteria, usually on riders that are 165 pounds on flat ground with minimal stop and go and 77-degree Fahrenheit weather, all that crazy stuff. You know, it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer on where they do the testing and how they do the testing. But I seriously doubt we'll get anywhere close to 37.3 miles on this ride today. All right, got some train tracks. Looks like all is clear. All right, front suspension did a great job. You can definitely feel it in the rear, but the front is definitely where I want to, you know, minimize as much impact as possible, because that's attached to the stem of the scooter and you don't want to lose control. You want to dampen any kind of bumps or vibrations as much as possible. All right, so we are officially at 9 miles. We've been riding for approximately 43 minutes and we have got 4 out of 5 battery bars remaining on the KQi 300X. All right, so we just crossed that 10-mile mark, about 46 minutes into this ride, and we'll probably turn it around somewhere around 12 miles. We'll see if we lose another bar or not. So yesterday I did put in an order for a new full-faced helmet. It is the Scorpion EXO R1 Air, I believe it's called. And it looks like it's got really nice ventilation and it's smaller and lighter weight than my other helmet. For those of you keeping track, we've officially crossed the 12-mile mark, about 52 minutes into this ride. And let's see, battery bars, 4 out of 5. In this dynamic ride mode. Now, keep in mind, I have been fooled before on scooters. You know, you see, oh wow, yeah, 4 out of 5 battery bars, that's awesome. You go out a little further than you should, then on your way back, those bars start dropping like flies. Definitely hope that's not the case today. All right, I am gonna go ahead and get us turned around here and we will head on back. You know, worst case scenario, if we've got lots of battery and we make it back to where we started from, what I can always do is just continue on the trails in the opposite direction. So, not a problem. I'd rather be safe than sorry. All right, so we've got a little bit of a development here. We are at 13.5 miles, 57 minutes into this ride, and we've officially lost another bar. So we are at 3 out of 5 bars remaining. All right, so we are officially at 15 miles on this ride. We've been riding for about an hour and 2 minutes, and thankfully we've still got 3 out of 5 bars remaining. Now, of course, I've taken both the Ninebot Max G2, the Apollo Go, and now this KQi 300X on this exact same route. So it'll be interesting to see how we end up range-wise with this 300X, especially when you consider that this has a 48-volt 13-amp-hour battery, whereas those 2 other scooters have 36-volt 15-amp-hour battery. So I will say that, you know, with 3 out of 5 bars, we are still able to maintain 20 miles an hour without any issue at all whatsoever. And I'm also noticing that acceleration is just as strong as it was when we first started to ride. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for voltage sag. All right, here we go back up the pedestrian bridge. All right, this is that 37 Newton meters of torque in action. We are about 11 or so miles an hour coming up this thing. We've got lots of people here, so we want to be careful. All right, quick development, 18.21 miles, or about an hour and 14 minutes, and we've officially lost a bar. We are at 2 out of 5 battery bars remaining. So will we have enough to get back to where we started? That is the question. All right, looks like we got perfect timing with the crosswalk here. And back off the beaten path. Now, if you didn't have a chance to see my previous video on this, I did buy this scooter with my own money. So nobody provided this to me. This is not a sponsored post or anything like that. So, you know, I try and mix it up with what I cover on my channel. About 50 to 60% of what I review are things that I purchase. And so any kind of funds that are generated through this channel, I put right back into it. So I will include some affiliate links in the description below. So if you do decide you want to make this purchase, if this content was helpful and you're like, you know what, this does a really good job, this scooter, I think I like what I see. If you use those links, it will help support this channel and keep the wheels moving on future reviews. So thank you in advance. And for those of you keeping track, we are officially at 20 miles on this range test. We've been cruising around here for an hour and 22 minutes, and we have still got 2 out of 5 battery bars remaining. So the question is, what are we going to end up at? Let's get our bets in, you know. Is it going to be 24 miles? Is it going to be 28 miles? Is it going to be something less? You know, is this battery meter going to crap out on me and all of a sudden show that it's empty? I certainly hope not. But I've seen it happen on other scooters. So at 2 out of 5 bars remaining, we're still able to maintain 19 to 20 miles an hour. Oh, watch out, Mr. Quail. And anyways, the only thing I noticed is that acceleration is a tad bit slower. But we're still able to get up to the top speeds that we have set for this ride today. So far, so good. Suspension doing a good job absorbing these impacts. All right, so we're at 22 miles, hour and 32 minutes on this ride, and we are still 2 out of 5 battery bars remaining. Now this scooter does handle really well on these dirt gravel paths. I'm going about 19 miles an hour right now, and no concerns about traction, even though we're riding on street tires. Now, when you do ride on this kind of terrain, I definitely recommend taking turns with caution, because it is very easy to eat it on these things. You know, you lose control. You've only got 2 wheels, and it's rear wheel drive. You know, so you take a turn on dirt too fast, that back end can spin out. And of course, I'm not speaking from experience at all with any of that. You know, all of my rides are perfect. Almost ate shit, dude. Whew. All right, so we've got a new development here. We are 23 miles into this ride. We've been riding for an hour and 36 minutes, and we've officially lost a bar. We are at 1 out of 5 bars remaining. So are we gonna have enough juice to make it back to the car? You know, I think we're about a mile and a half away, maybe more. Maybe 2 miles from our starting point. So we'll see if this last bar will get us to where we need to go. Hopefully it does. I believe that the last bar will start blinking when you're on the kind of the last leg, maybe the last 10% or so. So we'll see. And I'll probably take a break here in a moment, just stop and see what we've got in the app in terms of battery percentage remaining. Now, one thing that I hope that we see in future iterations of this scooter is for NIU to stop it. with these buttons at the bottom of the screen. Segway does the same ridiculous thing, and you see it on other scooters as well. This KQi 300X has a beautiful control panel on the right handlebar here that allows you to control your turn signals and your hazard lights and all that fun stuff. You know, why ruin it by forcing your riders to take their hands off the handlebar so they can turn on the light or so they can change the drive modes? You clearly have 2 spots here for 2 more buttons. Put a headlight button on there, put a mode switching button on there. Don't force your riders to take their hands off the handlebar to make those changes, to turn things on. You know, and the funny thing is, like, a lot of scooter companies are like, never take your hands off the handlebar, that is dangerous. Yet, in order to change drive modes or in order to turn on your headlights, you have to take your hands off. Anyways, I'm not angry. I'm just trying to get a better riding experience for everybody. All right, so for those of you keeping track, we are officially at 25 miles on this ride. We've been riding for an hour, 44 minutes, and we've still got 1 bar remaining. However, there's a new development as of right now. We have got a blinking battery bar, which tells me we are at the end of the line. So let me go ahead and make it back to the car. Just before I started talking, it was solid. Now it's blinking. All right, so I just took a little pit stop. It looks like we got 8% battery remaining and about 2 miles of range. So when that battery indicator starts blinking, you've got 10% battery remaining. So it's definitely time to come home. But let's see. At 8%, I can still hit 19 miles an hour. So, you know, we don't have the voltage sag that you normally see on 36-volt systems when you're at battery levels this low. But we're going to go ahead and try and run this battery out, which I don't recommend, by the way. They don't recommend completely draining your battery. So when you're around 10%, that's about the time you want to stop riding. But, of course, on this channel, we extensively test all the devices that we cover. Oh, look at that. We got some beeping sound there. That was interesting. So let me go ahead and stop here and take a look at what that beeping noise was. What are you trying to tell me here? Refresh. 1 mile, 6%. Okay, I've got a mile. So when you've got a mile remaining, it's going to scream at you and let you know. So that's a nice little alert there. So let's go ahead and really head back to the car. Oh my gosh, it is screaming at me. I don't want to walk. I don't want to walk in this heat. So let's build up some momentum here and make our way back to our starting point. We'll squeeze out whatever remaining distance we can get to the starting point here, and then we'll look at the Garmin GPS and, you know, see where we landed with average speed and all that fun stuff. So, oh, and just so you know, we are capped at 13 miles an hour right now, 12, 13 miles an hour. So we're definitely in the crawl home mode right now. Now we're at 11 miles an hour, so we're officially done. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here. All right, so there you have it. That was our range test with the NIU KQi 300X. We were able to squeeze out 26.36 miles on this ride with an average moving speed of 15 miles an hour and 430 feet in elevation gain. So super impressed with this scooter. I think it topped out the Segway and the Apollo. So we'll definitely take a look at that. I'll throw some of those stats on the screen so you can kind of compare what we did on the same route, but with 3 different scooters. So if you're looking for a scooter that gets, you know, real world range, you know, 25 plus miles, the KQi 300X absolutely does it. Now stay tuned. I will be posting another video, the hill climb test, which hopefully we'll be doing tomorrow. And then after I conclude all of my testing, I will bring it all together in a full end-to-end review. So if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing to get those notifications. And as always, let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns. Happy to answer those. And thank you so much for tuning in to Tom's Gadget Garage. We will see you next time.